trust me. I'll introduce him in a couple of seconds. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you to one of my best friends, Tommy M. You know who you are. Most of you guys have heard me say his name from Simpatico Real Estate. He is the one that was very generous in donating the equipment that I'm using today to do this podcast. So thank you again, Tommy, and I appreciate your support. And always in the background, my man Jose from LGCY Creations, always doing the editing and the filming for this episode. So again, this is my new show. What's next? And a lot of people may ask, what do you mean by what's next? So what I'm trying to say is, what's next? This next second, next minute, this next hour, this day, week, and so forth. Right? What do you have next? What do you have planned next in life? And I want to hear from different people, all aspects of life. I want to hear people's stories. I want to hear what experiences you've been through. And then again, I don't want to stay in the bubble of law enforcement and military because, I want to hear other people's stories and see where this takes us, man. I want to relax. I want to have fun and just enjoy the ride, man. I'm blessed to be here today. You know, we're alive. We're breathing. We're healthy. You know, I've made it to 52 years old, so I'm blessed for that. You know, thank God. I have a great family, great friends, right? I love it, man. I'm just living life. I always kind of put a little hashtag there when I go on Instagram, and I always say living life. My wife always says making memories, so I know a trip is coming or something. So,
expensive trip.
Lord have mercy. Well, you know, you still got. I still got my two boys, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and since every now and then we bring a plus three, you know, a friend or whatever, which I always, as long as I see people smiling, I'm happy.
Yeah, me too.
You know, don't come around me if you're a cranky person. If you have negative vibes,
Life's too short.
you just said it. Life's too short.
Yep.
You know, you never know what's gonna happen this next minute, next hour, whatever in the future. So live up, live up the moment, enjoy life, and enjoy your family, enjoy your friends. So, with that said, again, I can't wait to see where this channel is gonna take me. I have no idea. I'm not trying to be the next YouTube sensation or nothing like that. I just want to share stories. I want to hear people's stories. I want to know what's next. And with that said, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my man, the myth, the legend, Dave Howard.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Dave, it's a pleasure because you're my first.
Yeah, mine too.
You're my first on the show, and I'm so happy to have you because you're doing big things. You're doing big things, and and you have some great accomplishments in your life. But do me a favor. Let's start from the beginning real quick. Tell me where you grew up. Where you from? Where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Broward County, Florida, Fort Lauderdale area, and you know, I'm a product of the Broward County school system, public school system.
Is that what happened to you?
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, and I got to be honest. You know, you're talking about what's next and stuff like that. I if I was looking back on my life, if I was back at 16, 17, 18 years old, now I'm 60, I would have never envisioned this for me. You know, I don't honestly.
The whole social.
No, the whole what I've done.
Okay,
with my life,
gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
and so just you know, the resume question, just starting from the beginning. I graduated from high school. You know, I got held back a year, so I was 19, and kind of like doing nothing actually.
You just wanted to hang out next year?
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything.
You on that 5-year plan?
Yeah, and I guess I just was looking around and I was watching everybody else do nothing, and I was like, I can't do nothing, you know. So I went ahead and joined the Air Force, and I left for basic training, and I remember I got off the bus from basic training to my training center.
Which is located where?
Basic training was Lackland Air Force Base.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we didn't have two like the Marine Corps, you know.
Ow.
Yep. so, so they get you on this bus after basic training. You can't wait to leave, as you recall.
Absolutely.
And I get off at Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas, another milestone. And can you say bad words on this show?
No, we don't want to have to edit too much.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So-
it's Shepherd Air Force Base is not the asshole of the world, but you can see it from there. All right. And as soon as I got off, I mean, it's been 35, 40 years ago, but somebody handed me an envelope and said I was going to Guam. And I was like,
where's that?
Where is Guam? You know. So, anyways, I did the Guam thing, and then they sent me to another luxurious.
Now, quick question. This is okay. So after boot camp,
Yeah.
right? You get assigned a specific job.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was a medic.
No, that's okay.
I was a medic.
Yep.
And, you know, it was a crash course. I think it was 6 weeks. And I could, like, do heart surgery, whatever. You know, I was a medic. And
Duct tape.
whatever, yeah. And so then I did. I went to Guam. Then I went to Idaho after Guam, which is, I mean, I went from a tropical, lush, tropical, beautiful, gorgeous island, 35 miles long by 8 miles wide. You know, I learned how to scuba dive. I'm from Florida, but I didn't scuba dive until I went there, and I went hog wild with it. And I mean, just some great diving
Now,
stories.
did you specifically ask for that MOS or that job, that military occupation, or did
No,
you kinda-
you know, being a Florida kid, there's 5 bases in Florida, so all my choices were Florida.
Gotcha.
I got close. I mean, I got Guam, so it's 35,000 miles the other way. And anyways, but it was a great experience. And then I went to Idaho.
Active duty, you did.
Oh, this
yeah.
is all active duty
Okay.
time. And I went to Idaho, finished up. I think I did another 3 years, or just less than 3 years, I think, in Idaho. And then I, like most guys, I met a gal. I left the Air Force. It was kind of funny because you talk about what's next. The sergeant that was in charge of the clinic I worked in, he, you know, wanted me to stay in. You know, he said I was good Air Force material and all that. And it's like, yeah.
The
I
regular
don't
story
think so.
they gave you?
Yeah, yeah.
Or was he sincere?
But no, he was sincere. He's, you know, he was going to give me, you can have the clinic at the hospital, you can run the clinic up there and stuff, you know, and nah, I just want to go. I can't.
Now,
do-
what rank were you at this time?
I was an E4.
Okay, so you were a sergeant, right? Sergeant?
Yeah, well, now it's a sergeant. Now it's
Oh.
a senior airman.
Okay. What's that equivalent to in the Marine Corps? E3s, E2s, Lance Corporal, D3s?
I don't know. The E4s run everything, just so you
Yeah,
know.
like
They
non-commissioned, right?
They actually have the E4 Mafia in the Air Force. You know, so if you're, I don't care what rank you are, you go to the E4 if you want to get something done, you know. So, anyways, the E4s, you know, so I got out, I did it, and I ended up getting married, had 2 beautiful kids, and went in the reserves, and stayed in the reserves another 26 years, because I was going to do 20 and get out,
Yeah.
but I was just having fun, so I stayed.
So now you got out, you got done with your
Active duty
active
time.
duty, you end up back in Florida,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now
I
you're
went
in the
to
reserves.
Homestead
And now you're in the
before
reserves.
Hurricane Andrew,
Okay.
and then I left Homestead. I transferred out of Homestead 2 months before Andrew, not knowing about Andrew, but
Right.
just it was time to go somewhere else.
So now when when you leave the Air Force, the military, what are you thinking is next for you in life? You know, like what am I
Well,
gonna do for a living?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, when I left, like I said, I was running a clinic, enlisted side, and the small clinic, we had like 2 providers, I think, and I was kind of important. So it's kind of funny you
Kinda
brought, you
important.
yeah, it's kind of important. I was kind of a thing, you know, and I kind of liked it, and then I left, and I had to get a job. My first job when I got home, back into my mom's house, you know, was I worked at a junkyard pulling parts off cars, And then I graduated to a gas station. And the whole time I was attending college classes and stuff like that, not really knowing where I was going to go, not really
Yeah,
knowing what's next.
yeah.
So
you're
it's
still
it's
thinking
a
about
great
it.
title, just so you know.
Thank you.
And looking back on my like high school, what do you call that thing? Yearbook or whatever. Law
That
was
book. What do
yeah,
you
the
call
book,
that book?
yeah. So I mean, law was I was always interested in the law, you
Okay.
know. And anyways, about 3 years after I got home, I ended up becoming a policeman. And wow, what an eye-opening experience
Now
that
give me
was.
the year.
Well, it was 88
1988.
when
Okay.
I went on, but I went on as a reserve because I really wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know anything. I didn't know. The only thing I knew about policemen was a couple of guys that used to give me tickets and where I grew up.
Now do me a favor, Dave. Explain what the reserve is. You weren't getting paid, were you?
No, got paid $1 a year. I think, and I'm just guessing. I think we had to do 20 hours a month or something.
Okay.
And I'd come in and I'd ride with guys like Tommy.
Okay. You did a bunch of ride-alongs.
Oh yeah, I did ride-alongs, or they'd call me and say, "Hey, we're doing this event. Can you come down and just be a policeman?"
Pick up the trash.
Basically, I was a cardboard policeman that you see like on the side of the road with the cardboard face.
Just
Yeah.
wait.
So, but it was different. It was kind of cool. It was you had a lot of pride when you put the uniform on. Back in the '80s.
Now, well, the uniform was brown still back
No,
then?
that was blue. That
Okay.
was blue. Yeah, you're going.
Just-
That was before my time.
I was just trying to check on the colors of the uniform.
So, and then then a couple of years later, I got hired full time, and it just what a ride. I mean, 27 years later, I didn't think I'd ever retire. I thought I'd do it for a couple of 3 years and go on to something else.
So once you started at that agency, I would imagine you started in Road Patrol, right?
Oh yeah,
And that era in our city, I think, was a very busy era.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They made a movie about it. It was an HBO documentary around the time I got hired.
And I think the name of the movie you told him about was Crack USA?
Cracktown, USA.
Cracktown USA.
And
I've seen it.
the Greek policeman in the movie was even back then scamming, trying to get out of calls. So
I know he.
I know you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So now you do. How much time do you end up doing on the road, or
I did 9 years.
9 years on the road?
9 years
Okay.
on the road, and they never really let me go to the south end of the city
So you worked the north end of the city
for 9 years. Yeah.
which is a very busy
Yeah.
area of our city for
Yeah.
the size and
Oh, yeah.
the amount of people that live
It's
in our city.
the city is maintains to this day its standing as one of the top 10 most violent cities in America.
Yep.
So yeah, you definitely had your opportunity there. If you wanted to be a street cop, this is the place to be.
That's where you learn.
Yeah.
Now, I think nowadays, definitely not. You can't compare it to what it used to be back then. As far as like the crime, I think things have gone better.
Hmm.
But hey, if there's
Well,
opportunities,
they were 9th out of 10 for the nation this year.
were they?
Yeah.
So, like I said, if there's an opportunity, if you're a criminal and there's an opportunity for you
Oh,
to
yeah.
take advantage of something, you're gonna act upon it.
Hmm.
And it's our job to try to prevent it.
Absolutely.
And we can only do so much. We can educate, we can train,
Hmm.
and further. But an opportunist is going to take an opportunist is going to take an opportunity. All right, so now you do your 9 years on road patrol in this busy city. Did you make any lateral moves before
No.
any promotion?
No.
You stayed on the road for those
Yeah.
9 years.
Yeah, I applied to be a dare officer.
I
And-
dare you.
I did, and I also applied. At that time, I was kind of like okay, I got to do something different.
Was
you
it the
know?
outfit that attracted you? The dog
Yeah,
outfit?
yeah, the dog.
What
Yeah.
was the name? Was their name attached to that costume?
I can't remember.
I think there was. I can't.
You
Something.
probably weren't you in Dare? I thought you
No.
did Dare.
No, man. I didn't do not, hey, not to take anything away from, it, but
No, Dare officers are good. Yeah.
I went a different route. We all have our I don't know if destiny is the right choice of word, but once you get there to whatever agency you work for, it could be the county, it could be the city, whatever municipality is. Once you get there, you're gonna feel your oats, right? You're gonna know I want to go maybe this direction,
And I was happy. I was very happy in patrol.
and that's important as long as you're
You
happy.
know, I enjoyed myself. Every day was different. Nobody was like over my shoulder, so it was kind of nice. It was nice.
Guys, literally since I've met Dave, and this is what 26 years ago, because I've been
Yeah.
on the job 26 years. I've never gotten into an argument with Dave. I've never really seen Dave ticked off. And again, I never really worked for you, but we used to see each other a lot
Sure.
in the building.
Yeah.
We don't have 10 stories or anything like that. We're not NYPD,
No.
so you do end up seeing people more
Oh, yeah.
fluently.
Yeah.
But you always had that humor, which I loved. You was that funny guy,
Yeah.
and you always said hello to everybody. I do remember that. You were very welcoming,
Yeah.
and that's nice because
It doesn't take but just a tiny bit of effort to get to know somebody a little bit.
yeah, especially being a new guy or I'm sorry, female or male officer, just an officer in general, and you're trying to see and meet people. The last thing you really want is somebody to walk by you and not say hello.
Yeah, I think that's pretty rude.
Yeah, like, come on.
I mean, I don't care if it's in the station or out on the street or.
Yeah. So 9 years go by. Now you decide what's next.
Well, like I said, I applied for those two jobs. It was a policy and procedure officer, and the Dare officer, and both of them called. It was amazing. I don't.
You were hot like that.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I ever applied for was auto theft, and
What happened with that?
I don't really know.
Didn't pan out?
Yeah, it didn't pan out. I mean, I
That's all we
told
gotta say.
the guy left who got that job over me was it was during a financial crisis in the early '90s, and they gave it to somebody else. Whatever. But it was funny because he retired as a deputy chief or assistant chief, and I retired as a lieutenant. And I saw him in the locker room when he was leaving, and I said, had I gotten that job in auto theft, you'd be a lieutenant right now, and I'd be the deputy chief.
So you end up in community policing, right?
Oh, I
Was
did.
it-
I
was it-
did like 3 years in
Was
community
Was
policing.
there and community the same? Was just two separate units?
No, it was definitely two separate
Okay.
units. Yeah, but I wasn't one of the first. There was like 3 or 4 people that were one of the first community policing officers. I came in like on the third wave. I stayed like 3 years and went back to the road.
And how much time? Oh, okay. So you stayed at 3 years, and then you ended up going back.
Yeah.
And at what point did you actually end up getting promoted to sergeant?
It wasn't until 2002, maybe 2003. I was the policy and procedure officer and got promoted to sergeant.
And I got to tell you guys, Dave is very knowledgeable in making sure that the department was accredited, right?
Yeah, we were accredited three ways.
So I mean, tell me the task. Tell me the job that it took to make sure that our department stayed or became an accredited department.
The first time the agency got accredited was back in the late '80s with CALIA, and then there was no computers. I mean, you gotta.
And CALIA was an association.
CALIA, yeah, it was actually CALIA was actually started by Noble, which is a black police officer type association.
Okay.
And they actually started the accreditation process because keep in mind what happened in the probably in the 70s, I guess. The police profession was deemed like the #1 trustworthy profession.
Okay.
We're not even in the top 200 anymore. police are not trusted
Because
anymore.
everything that's happened over the years.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess, what happened in the early 70s was Vietnam and all the vets coming back and all the civil unrest and all the riots, etc. And so Noble stepped up to the plate and developed CLIA. And it was about, I don't know, back then it was probably 800 standards. And keep in mind, like I said, there's no computers in the late 80s.
Now, real quick, not to interrupt you, but standards is everything that Kalia is saying. This is how you have to operate your department. Is that what that means?
Yeah, that's a pretty easy
Yeah,
answer.
short and
yeah,
sweet.
Yeah,
You guys have to follow these rules, or,
right.
or say
This is how you have to do something.
These policies have to
Right.
be in place.
And then what you do is, you take those standards and you tweak them to where it's actually how you practice, because it really isn't, it doesn't do anybody any good if you write this policy or whatever and you put in a standard like, I'm going to do a pirouette every time I drop evidence, So
Right.
you're not going to do a pirouette, so you don't put that in there, I mean, that's oversimplification, but I think you get the point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, you've written a lot of policies anytime, and I guess you guys in that unit had a little bit of advantage when it comes time to getting promoted because Jesus,
you couldn't show by my scores.
well, which one, the written, the assessment, or the verbal? I mean, the oral.
I always got crushed on the oral. I mean, they just killed me.
But I'm sure you did good on the written.
I did okay, I think.
Because I mean.
But if you look historically, and I'm sure it's at every agency, but you look at the process, and if there's a subjective type process like what we did, the in baskets and this, that, and the other, the end result or the scores, the top 10 are usually within a tenth of a point from each other.
Okay.
So.
All right, so now you get promoted.
Yeah, I got promoted, and the captain, who was the accreditation manager, he retired, and so they just left me there. So I ended up.
So you stayed as a sergeant in the accreditation unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had, I think I had one or two guys then, and then
Yeah, I remember.
it grew. It grew as big as 10 guys at one time. We were doing not just accreditation, we were doing everything that nobody else wanted to do. So it was.
Yeah, it's definitely an
we were
office
busy.
that you don't want to pass by.
Yeah, it was definitely busy.
And for our new viewers, the credit, what Dave did was very, very intel. I mean, there's a lot of policy writing, a lot of calling, and finding out what other people are doing, and then a lot of comparing, right?
And part of your job was to travel as a CALIA assessor or in the state of Florida, CFA assessor, and going to these different agencies. And then, as an example, everybody talks about power details.
Oh yeah.
That's where that came from. I've seen it at another agency, and I said I got to have it.
Yeah.
And trying to get it implemented was brutal. But now, if you go, and I've been gone 3 years, but if you go back and tell these guys at the police department, hey, we're taking that away, they'd lose their minds.
Because what was the old process?
The old process was you had to come in at 4:30 in the morning, and there was this huge wall, and it had all these details on there, and you had to wait till your turn in seniority list, and it was,
I do remember that the
You
number
remember
one guy back then who already would pencil his name on, because I think it was 3 or 4 pics or something like that.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. You had to come in I want to say it was 2. But yeah, between 2 and 4,
Yeah.
you had to come in, whether you were working or whether you were off.
Yeah, didn't matter.
And if you were the lowest on the totem pole,
Don't bother.
just come the next day.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stand there for 10 hours.
Yep.
But I remember it was a mass group of people in that briefing room.
And they all had, remember they had golden calendars and, with tassels and stuff. It was amazing.
There was no telephone calendar where you could just click on and all that good stuff. So it was all hard copies.
Oh yeah. It was funny. So that's where, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you go to these, some agencies do this better than this agency does. and you would bring that back, you know, and you'd implement it, and it was a good thing. I don't think there's anything we brought back that failed,
No.
you know, so it's kind of neat.
It is, you know, it is, you know, and thank God for guys like you that are willing to do all
Yeah.
that hard work. And, you know, I know you guys work long hours.
Yeah, we did work a lot of hours, and
You know, especially when it came down to it, you know, hey, the accreditation unit's coming down, and
yep.
you guys have to walk around the police department and find out what.
But I
What-
never did chocolate covered strawberries. Never did them. I went to one as an assessor. I went to one agency up north, and they had us, literally the lady, the administrative lady, made like chocolate covered strawberries. I said, this is good. I can't beat this.
But you know, it's always great when you can think of or you recall past experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Or you know, these good memories that we all have
Mhm.
in our careers and our profession, and you just chuckle like you just
Mhm.
did. You know, like I never did strawberry.
Yeah, I never did the chocolate covered
For a
strawberries.
second, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
And then I did that for like 10 years, and I just, you know, I got deployed once through Desert Storm during the presidential call-up for the Saddam debacle, and ended up going to England to set up a 402-bed hospital inside an aircraft hangar, and that was pretty cool. There was no, we didn't have any bombing there in England.
Yeah.
So whatever we did worked, you know, and
Now-
you know, thank God, I think we saw like 1,000 patients, but
Really?
they were expecting, because I mean,
Yeah, all coming from
Iraqi
Iraq.
military they were like what, the second largest or seventh largest or something in the world.
Yeah.
So they
I
were
don't remember
expecting quite a
the
bit of,
numbers, but yeah,
and they were talking gas and
Yeah.
everything. So that was kind of crazy. It was stressful. We were there for like 4 months, but I think it was the only presidential call-up since the Korean War, if I
Wow,
remember
I didn't
right.
know that.
Yeah, under the first George, under 41.
Yeah, well, hey, thank God for guys like you that keep the guys and gals healthy in
Yeah,
the military, well, and put them back together.
yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that because one of my good friends is a doctor in North Palm, and he works out of St. Mary's. He's orthopedic, but he's man, you know, he gets all these patients, you
Mhm.
know, shooting victims.
Mhm.
The majority of his patients are shooting victims, and he's got to put these people back together.
And I'll tell you an interesting story about that, because my reserve unit was at Patrick Air Force Base, the ASTS. It's a hospital unit, and my medics were actually downrange, because I was E9. I was the chief master sergeant over all the medics, and my medics were downrange in Bagram and Kandahar, and they were also at Landstuhl. And one of the most rewarding things that I've ever got to do was when I would go visit them or whatever, we would take these kids with
Mhm.
these, now your orthopedic doctor buddy can tell you, where these kids come off, you know, these kids are these, you know,
18
these,
years
yeah,
old,
they're
19
kids,
years old,
they're
yeah.
kids. And we get them off the planes, off the 17s, and Landstuhl, as an example, and you know, they're on a litter, and then they have another litter full of medical equipment that weighs another 200 or 300 pounds, and it all has to be carried together, you know, and their legs or whatever. And this one kid, we had to take him to the OR to get his dressings changed, and they have all external fixator pins, and so it looks like an erector set
Just being held
on
together.
there. That's what's holding his leg together,
Right.
you know, or as an example. But that was probably one of the most rewarding things. Even when I was at Andrews, doing the same job, helping get these guys off the planes and stuff, get them to the more definitive health care. The president of the United States at the time, 43, Bush, 43, everything had to stop when the president was on the tarmac or whatever at Andrews, except us.
You guys had to keep
He
people
said, yeah, he
alive.
said we have to keep going.
Yeah.
And so out of my 30-year Air Force career, that probably has to be right there with one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, is helping these kids.
Yeah, and let me say, thank you for your service, 'cause, man, it's outstanding to have a 4-year, military career, I guess, but then to say 30 years, wow,
Yeah, it was
you stayed the whole time.
it was a hell of a ride. I mean, I never thought I'd stay. I remember I think I had 14 years in, and they offered me a commission. At the time, I was a first sergeant, and and I was like, "What? Don't I have to stay? Don't you have to, like, if you get like a commission, don't you have to stay a certain number of years?" He goes, "Yeah, a couple of years, Yeah, I don't want to.
Just sign here.
Yeah, I don't want it. I don't want
Just sign on that
I'll just
line.
stay enlisted. At the time, I think I was like an E7, had no hopes of making E9. It wasn't even in the picture, so
Now you retired as a what?
Chief Master Sergeant,
Chief
E9.
Master Sergeant. Wow.
And very lucky, very blessed,
Yeah. And I love using that word. We're blessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's other people in the world that are doing a lot worse.
Mhm.
Than
Oh,
we
yeah.
are, and I saw something the other day. I don't know. I saw it on social media. Like sometimes we're so worried about like, oh my God, I'm missing this and missing that, but you should be blessed for what you have.
Yeah.
It kind of hit me. I was
But
like,
I think
wow.
it's human nature too, though, that you you always want something else.
Sure,
That's what keeps us going.
sure, but I think it's important. You gotta stay humble.
Oh yeah,
Stay humble.
yeah.
It's good to be successful, but don't forget the people that help you get there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I always like to say this, and I don't know if I'm going off topic, but I always like to say the same people you see on the way up, you see on the way down,
Exactly.
right?
It's true.
So
yeah.
like never. I always tell my kids this, especially never burn the bridge,
No.
because you never know when you have to cross it back.
It's so much easier just to be nice.
It is, you talk to people, you do it with a smile on your face,
Yeah.
and you're genuine. Be
Mhm.
genuine,
Absolutely.
So all right, Dave. So now you're you get promoted to lieutenant, right?
I got promoted to lieutenant in my 24th year, which is an interesting story.
Do tell.
Yeah, because I was deployed. I got deployed as an E9 first sergeant to Herbert Field during the war, the big one,
Okay.
and under Title 10, and I got there and I liked it, I mean, I had all the stripes. I had the little diamond in the middle. I could go to the BX for a couple hours at a time. Nobody said anything. I'd go anywhere on base and drink coffee, and the only thing they said was "Good morning, Chief." That was it. And so I did 6 months, and the colonel asked me, "Hey, would you mind staying?" And I said, "No, I can do another 6 months." I said, "But make it 7. Make it 7 months." And he goes, "Okay." And so I called the police department and talked to that certain deputy chief.
Right.
Yeah, right. And I said, he called me. He says, "Yeah, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I just got back from the BX." I said, "What's up? How can I help you?" And he goes, "Well, we're doing shift schedules. I just want to know what you prefer." So I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm the most senior." At the time, I was a sergeant. I said, "I'm the most senior sergeant. How about give me day shift, He goes, "Yeah, okay, you're going to midnight."
What was your ID number?
Oh, my ID number was 1160, and I think at that point they're in the 1800s, or whatever now. Now they're probably in the 2000s.
Oh
more.
yeah.
So
I think I want to say I think it's 22.
yeah, that's
We're
crazy.
we're
yeah.
up there.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Um,
But I went back. I got promoted to lieutenant, which was funny story all in itself. And then went to nights, midnights, because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being on nights, and all the cops were young, and they like doing stuff, and it was kind of fun.
What year is this?
Approximately
Approximately.
2012 maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. It was good. I had a good time, and then I retired and went in the airlines.
Now you retired in what year?
2017.
2017. That's the year I had to go back to jump off.
Yeah, yeah.
2017. So what was next for you after 2017? I mean, let me ask you a question, Dave. Prior to you retiring, were you already thinking? How long before your retirement were you thinking of what's next? What's my next chapter?
Since the day I got hired. Yeah. No, I'm not kidding
No,
you.
no, no. And
Yeah.
that's, yeah. So
And certainly, I mean, you know our pension system. It's you don't really have to work. You don't need to, and I'm certainly no different.
right.
But no, I like flying airplanes. I took you flying, I
Yes, you
think, one
did.
time, and you said bad words in front of my kids. And anyways,
Because
so
something kept saying, pull up, pull up. Terrain, terrain, terrain.
So I took a job as a flight instructor at a busy flight school up in Stewart and did foreign students for about a year. I didn't have to do it. I only needed 300 hours to go in the airlines, but I was just having such a fun time with these kids. They're all kids,
Yeah,
and I was just having such a good time. I ended up staying like a year and a half. And I said, okay, I got to stop. I got to stop. And I got a job at a small regional airline. And I did that for a year. It literally never worked so hard in my life. Okay. So it's definitely a young man's game.
yeah.
But flying that big plane around and
Now, when you say big plane, what kind of, what do you call it? A bus? Isn't that what they
no,
call it?
no,
Or
no,
were
no.
you
Mine was a Saab. It had big 13-foot propellers on
like
it.
a puddle jumper?
Yeah, I
Is that
guess
what
you
they
call
call
it a
them?
puddle jumper.
I
It
don't
carried
know.
like 34 people.
Oh, no,
but-
no, that's a decent size.
and I'm gonna tell you, I don't care how many times I did it, but as the first officer, after we land, it was my job to jump off the plane and make sure everything looked okay, so we could
Any
start it up again and
scratches,
go. Right?
bumps?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't care how many times I did it. Whenever I opened that door, to the cabin, and I saw those people there, it's just like, hey, where'd you guys come from? And they would always laugh.
Yeah. I thought it was just two of us.
Yeah, yeah. But it always shocked me. It always shocked me. So.
So you were a pilot. You were diving, right? You were also
Yeah,
doing the diving
yeah, I still
instruction.
dive. Yeah.
But you were teaching it back then,
Sure.
right? What's the association name?
Patty.
Patty.
Yeah, I was Patty. I was National Academy of Police.
Because I know you certified me, and you certified a
Yes.
bunch of
Certified a bunch
of the
people.
guys and gals at work. By the way, I don't dive anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I told you that story, right? Up in the Bahamas, I almost died. Not because of anything he did, but he wasn't there. But oh my God, just
All the
I hit-
sharks.
I know what I wasn't that. I hit the wrong button on
Button.
the BC,
Yeah.
and I shot up about 50 feet. And Russ tried to grab me,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Man, you shot up like a rocket." So when I finally popped out of the water, thank God I didn't get hit by another boat.
Yeah. Or the vents.
Yeah, no, I shot back down.
Yeah.
And I figured, I don't know, maybe this is probably the best way to clear any of that carbon.
Nitron.
What is it that builds up in the
Nitrogen.
system? Nitrogen.
Yeah.
So I hung out there with Russ for a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and I said, you know what, this is nice, but I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll drive the boat. You guys dive.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. As we get older.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself in harm's way if I'm not doing it enough.
Yeah.
or really
Exactly.
being
Yeah.
proficient at
And
it.
that's key.
Because
So many people go diving and they dive like once a year, once or twice a year.
It's not enough.
They end up having a heart attack underneath the boat or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we're talking about diving because I remember that one officer. I won't say his name, but I remember he used to dive with like multiple tanks.
Yeah.
you
He was
know.
tech diving.
And I met him. He was a nice guy. God rest his soul. But anyways, moving on. So you done with you transfer out of well, not transfer, but you finish off with the pilot stuff, and you think you want to move on to something else.
Well, the pilot stuff was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just, I can't tell you, it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. And coming from a police background, okay, and I know you're going to appreciate this. I remember while I was in training, our flight got delayed like 4.5 hours, right? Well, I can deal with the passengers being pissed and everything. Whatever. It's not.
How come you guys don't turn the AC on, man?
Well, no, we weren't even in the plane. We weren't even in the
Oh,
plane.
okay.
So my training captain at the time, because I was in training, he says, "You want to go upstairs and get something to eat in the terminal, because all these places have little crew rooms downstairs where you can
Right.
go and hang out, watch TV, whatever." And so I said, "Yeah, whatever." And he goes, "I'm really, we're sitting there eating our salads or whatever." And he goes, "I'm really sorry about this delay and all this. It couldn't be helped." And I said, I don't care. He goes, well, why don't you care? And I said, because I'm getting paid. And he says, no, you're not.
You only get paid if you're in the air?
You only get paid typically after they start the engines and they close that door. So you know, for the captain's sake and the crew's sake, make sure you get in the plane and sit your ass down so they can close that door, because that's when they get paid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my time next time, because I've been on a tarmac before,
Yeah.
waiting to get
Sure. Yeah.
take off, and you guys turn off the AC. What's the deal with that?
Not me.
Are you guys doing it on purpose?
No, not me.
Like,
No.
we should have charged you more. I would have paid extra for the AC.
It gets
So-
hot in there, I'll tell
Oh
you.
my God! And they telling you to stay in
But
your
it was a
seats.
blast. I used to think I could land a plane pretty good, and but when you look over and your captain's over there doing like a dead bug thing, you know, when you're coming in for a landing, waving his legs and his arms.
Oh God!
And you're like, really? Is it that bad?
But see, that's your personality, low key.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, no stress.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing and I'm trying to land and
Messing with the yoke.
doing the yokes and the throttles.
You know, it's funny because I've taken a couple of flights like to the Bahamas,
Yeah.
and they usually, you know, on a small flight, on a small plane, they usually keep that door open. You can see the pilots.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I always like to look down the corridor, and if you're doing that, flapping, and something's going on, but if you're relaxed and probably an autopilot or something to that nature, then I'm cool. I don't get stressed out, man. So leave that door open so I
Yeah,
can
a
see
lot of
where
the
you're
guys, a lot of the guys that I flew with, they like to put that as soon as you take off, you know, you positive brake gear up, and boom, they hit the autopilot, you know. But I always like to fly it. I try to fly it up to like 10,000 feet, hand fly it, you know, just because I like flying.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, I
yeah.
love flying, especially this big bird with 13-foot props and.
Now, what's the minimum amount of height that you can fly?
All the way to the ground.
No, I'm saying like you got when you take off.
Yeah.
Say on a private plane,
Okay.
a Cessna, something like that. Do you have to fly a certain height away
No.
from the city, something like that?
Oh, when you're above people or
Yeah.
structures, it's usually 1,000 feet.
Because I remember like I saw what the inside of Jupiter Lighthouse looked like.
Well, yeah, but you were probably over the water.
Oh.
Yeah, you weren't over any structures.
Okay.
And if you were at least 2,000 feet.
Wow, I didn't know my eyes were that good. But all right, so moving on. So
So I did the airlines
yep.
thing for a year. And we were upgrading to a new airplane, and then unfortunately, my dad had a bad stroke. And the bad side of the airline industry, especially when you're at the bottom like I was, is the travel. You know, I would go in for a 2-trip day. You know, like today, you're going to do 2 trips out and back, and I wouldn't come home for 5 or 6 days. You know, because they're shorthanded, etc. And this crew scheduling would always call you at the last. You're on the bus going to customs to get so you can run to your car and get out of there, and they'd call you, and you'd have to do another trip or whatever. So, anyway, they were really, really good to me regarding my father and stuff, and they held on to me as long as they could, but I just couldn't get back into flying again.
100%.
So they had to let me go, which was fine. I resigned, and no hard feelings with this company at all. They're wonderful to work for. And,
Yeah.
Anyways, so I did that for a while, and then I started getting back into. I do like these lawyers,
The consulting.
the civil lawsuit stuff. So I did 2 cases with different murders in Miami.
Okay.
And then somebody asked me if I'd put together a report for building a police department. So I said, sure. And, 8 months.
With your training and experience, you were able to do that because you know.
Yeah, I
your
put
background
together
and
all the
knowledge.
policies. I put together all the quotes. And so, 6 months, 8 months later, I'm the chief of police now. So.
And congratulations to you for
Yeah,
that, man.
thanks.
When I heard that, I was like, man, good things come to those who wait, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, you've always been cool with me. I
Yeah.
don't care what anybody else says. That's not my business. But if me and you, we've always been cool, man. So I love to see people succeed.
Yeah, you got to.
I don't care if you're John Doe at the bottom or John Doe at the top,
Mhm.
you know, and you're successful. Um, I'm always willing to help. You know, I'm like
Mhm.
you, man. You know, stay very humble, and I like to help people.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
if you have an idea and I can help you, you know, I'll put you down.
Yeah.
You know, just don't bite the hand that feeds
No.
you. You know, because I've had that before happen in certain businesses. You know, and that's unfortunate. You know,
I never understood that, why there's so much of the pie to go around.
it is.
And I never really
Absolutely.
understood why
Absolutely.
people do that. But you're right, they do
But
it.
hey, it is what it is. So now your present job is you're a chief
Yeah.
in a
Chief
in a
of a,
municipality.
but better than that, I'm actually building a department. It's not like
It's
a
not like you
department.
just jumped in and it's already department's already
yeah, it's-
stable and running.
Yeah.
You're pretty much starting it from the bottom.
From nothing.
From nothing, and
Yeah.
you're building it up.
Right.
And I'm sure that's going to be a
It's getting
task.
it's getting quite a bit of attention.
It is. You know, I saw it on the internet and in one of the local newspapers.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, congratulations, and I wish you nothing but success
Thanks.
and happiness and all that good stuff. And if I can ever do anything to help you,
Yeah.
you know where to reach me.
Yeah, of course.
822, you know the last four.
Mhm.
But anyways, Dave, I think again, thank you for coming. You
Yeah, I had a blast.
It was a pleasure having you today. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover with you, man, and we laughed.
Yeah,
You know, and that's
that's
to me
all that
that's the
matters.
most important thing
Yep.
is that we had a good time. I was able, I haven't seen you in a little bit,
Yeah, it's been a
Um,
couple of years.
a couple of years,
Yeah.
you know. So again, thank you for coming, and I hope you guys enjoy. Excuse me. What's next? Um, I think what's next says a lot. What are you gonna do next in life? You know, how are you preparing for the next thing in life?
Don't stress. Just do it.
Don't stress. Don't do it if you plan accordingly.
Yeah,
right?
just do it.
You say you started thinking about it the first day you got hired.
Yeah.
About what will I do after that, after my profession or my career?
I think everybody does.
You should. They should. You know, and one thing I want to add is,
But I never thought I'd do this. I never thought I'd be an airline pilot.
yeah,
So you just got to be flexible and take it where it goes.
Yep.
You know, you have to be receptive to the opportunity.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, and for a lot of maybe any young listeners that are out there like in high school and they really have no direction in life. You said the military kind of saved your life.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So
Without a doubt.
you know, you can think about it. You can get some kind of skill, right? Some kind of trade, some kind of training. You join the
not.
military,
Or not, just grow up.
yeah. Get some discipline.
Yep.
Get some work
Especially
ethics.
for the young men. And I'm not being sexist.
No,
Or
no, I
anything like
understand
that.
what you're saying.
I think girls are just. I think the gals or women or whatever you want to call them. I think they're just more mature than the young guys and the young women. And I think that they just have I don't know.
Different
And-
attitude.
yeah,
different way
whatever
about
it is.
life.
Yeah. I mean,
you
I
know?
notice it in my son and my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, but the guys are good. The guys will catch up.
So yeah, if you're a young adult out there in the world and don't really know what you're doing, join the military.
Yeah.
You know, I always give that advice to young
Go see
people.
Guam.
Yeah. Gain another uncle, Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
You know, he'll never let you down.
No.
Well, I don't know about that, but you don't join the military for money. That's for sure.
No.
You join it out because you're an American. You're proud of being American,
Mhm.
or you come from another country and you're trying to stabilize yourself and be a part of this country.
Mhm.
One of the best ways to do
Yeah.
it. So again, thank you everybody for joining us today. I look forward to having plenty more episodes. Do me a favor, if you guys like it, hit the like button, subscribe, keep track of what I'm doing. Give me some suggestions. If you want to hear something in particular, you want me to talk about something, maybe something in my past, something, and you want me to have a specific guest, or a specific topic, let me know, and I'll make it happen because I want to make this a fun podcast. I don't want it to be a robotic podcast.
Yeah.
And, I want to laugh. I want to have fun. So give me some ideas, guys, because we'll see what's next. Again, my name's Lou Maroto.
Dave Howard.
My special guest, Dave Howard. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys on the next channel.